such a fascinating dynamic that when you had this monopoly of a few agencies that were providing the news, they upheld this sense of integrity and they delivered the news. But now that you have this oversaturation of agencies and outlets, suddenly there's so many versions of the truth. It's very different from what you have thought. Because
right. Well, I don't want to simplify it because I think it cuts both ways. Because those news and I should have said this before, so I'm glad you came back to this. The news organizations at that time, and the ones I started out my career on in the 70s, were almost entirely white male. If there might be one person of color on a staff of 40 or 50 people. Anyone who was gay was closeted. The women who were on the paper were often stuck in, quote, traditional women's news, like writing about social events or food. And not that there's anything wrong with those beats, but they were not encouraged to cover politics and to cover medicine and, to cover international affairs. So that was a very limited view of the world. And there are a great many positives that have come out of the internet era in journalism, a democratization of who can do journalism, a way, way greater diversity in news organizations. And I don't mean just the little startups, but the way a newsroom at the New York Times or the Washington Post or CBS News or CNN or NPR looks now in terms of its demographics versus 25 or 35 or 40 years ago, that's a gigantic improvement. But when anyone can jump into the game, when anyone can start a website, when the barriers to entry are so low, it also means it's easier for demagogues to get in. It's easier for even well-intended amateurs who have no standards to get in. And you get a situation like we have with Fox News, which has evolved from a definitely right of center, but, pretty much legitimate news organization when it was founded in 96 to basically a political movement that's masquerading as a news organization now. And because they can have a TV channel or a website like any other legitimate news organization, it looks like there isn't a significant difference between Fox News and, let's say, CNN or NPR. And there's actually a gigantic, immense difference.